What's happening, Panda Nation? Peter Von Panda here in my Fiat 500, and I want to appeal to anyone who's still waiting, mostly in your mind, for an Elio. Now, this is just going to be my morning rant here, but listen, I know the Elio was really interesting in like 2013 or 2014. It got my attention, man. You know, did I put any money down on it? No, I didn't, but I might have. Like at the time, you know, I was kind of in the car world. I bought and sold a couple cars since then. But here's why, you know, you should, even if you really are holding out hope, you really believe that there's going to be an Elio, which I will tell you there isn't. But if you really think there is, I want to make a case for you on a different car. And I think it's going to be a massive surprise. Listen, the Elio, for all sorts of reasons, was interesting. It was supposed to have this incredible MPG rating of 87, 90 miles a gallon because it's half the weight and half the surface area, so it gets twice the mileage. Doesn't really work like that, but let's just call it that it does. So my first argument for it is that the projected price is creeping up, and I don't even think that they could hit that. So it started under $7,000. It's over $7,000 now. I don't even think that they could hit that if they wanted to. And so my issue right now is you can get a number of cars, maybe not brand new, but some very close to new, like the Nissan Versa, new and very close to that price. And you can also get a car like this Fiat 500. I've got about 73,000 miles on it, and it gets nice mileage. And you could buy a car like this. It's very reliable. I commute just fine in it for around $3,000, maybe $4,000 on a really good day for some of these. And it just has all the creature comforts I want. Now, my other argument is that the Elio is a one-seater that can haul around a second person. You might say it's a two-seater, but that second seat is not some place where someone's going to want to be. It's a little claustrophobic. There's no doors. There's no roll down the windows. I would argue that there are much more accommodative cars like this Fiat 500, right? For me, I feel like I'm kind of going to work in a one-seater. It's very efficient. It's very small. It's easy to park. Even in my tight parking garage, you know, I can get into spots that other people would have to do 2 or 3 point turns to get into. It's a true two-seater. I can put two people side by side, but it's more of a true two-seater with the capability to throw a couple people in the back, which I've done, which isn't ideal, but it's a lot different to have two comfortable seats and two auxiliary seats as opposed to one comfortable seat and one auxiliary seat. So I'd say this Fiat 500 is twice as good as the Elio on that, and yet, you know, the footprint is pretty small. And in fact, with those outboard front wheels, I don't know that, you know, it's actually any better. I know the Elio is actually pretty long. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is 4 wheels versus 3 wheels. So the Elio is a trike. It registers as a motorcycle, or would, if it were produced, register as a motorcycle. And this is where I would say that the problem is the third wheel. So, you know, when you're on the road, there are wheel grooves. I mean, it's just that all cars have wheels on the side, and you kind of get these ruts, and you can feel them on, you know, high performance cars or cars with tight steering or low profile tires. And so those are just kind of worn into the road. Now, let's talk about adverse weather conditions where you're plowing through sleet or slush or even rain, right? I mean, when you're driving on the highway, the tires are kind of spreading out wheel paths, you know, of where the water is. And right in the middle of the road, you're not generally getting that. But what you're doing in an Elio is dragging a third wheel. It's the same for any trike. And so let's say it's snowing and I'm kind of riding those wheel ruts or those tire ruts. I'm also dragging a third wheel. And in this case, it's the drive wheel, I think. Maybe the Elio is front wheel drive. I think it's front wheel drive. Maybe that doesn't matter. But you're dragging a wheel through virgin snow, right? Snow that hasn't been compacted, plowed out of the way, pushed out of the way by other tires. And so you have 2 wheels in the wheel ruts and you're dragging this third wheel through adverse conditions. If you live on dirt roads or anywhere that the roads aren't perfectly smooth, this is going to be a more pronounced effect. And so that third wheel, while good for licensing and registration of the vehicle, maybe, I don't know, insurance possibly, I think is a liability and is not ideal for driving in pretty much any real world condition. The last thing I want to say is about efficiency. So the Elio advertises huge efficiency numbers, which I mentioned, but as you know, that they kind of recently backed off of building their own proprietary engine and are just going to outsource it from, I don't remember, Ford or someone like that. And they were saying, hey, we're still going to get great efficiency numbers. I love the fact that they're not actually saying what there's going to be, because I think they were over-promising on what they were going to build. And so by going to a slightly bigger engine with slightly more power, it's going to be slightly less fuel efficient, even than their theoretical motor. And what's going to happen there is I think you're going to see 30 plus miles a gallon in this thing if it were ever going to get produced. You can get that in this Fiat 500. Do you see where this is going yet? So you can get over 30 miles a gallon. You can get high 20s in city driving, over 30 on the highway, high 30s if you're really judicious about it. Even better if you get the manual. And if we want to talk about kind of future proofing, there is the Fiat 500e, the electric car. Now, when those were coming off lease, they were dirt cheap. You can still get those. They don't have the greatest range in the world. You know, I think 80, 90-ish miles, which is perfect for most people's commute, but it's not going to be your only car, and I don't think the Elio was either. Either that or you're a minimalist. But it's a far more kind of future-friendly technology, right? You know, you don't have to worry about MPG and those types of things. You can just charge it up and go, and you get more space, and you get proven platform. You get some more known crash protections. You get environmental controls that work like you expect, seats that are comfortable that can be adjusted, a large aftermarket for them, and and they're easy to service, and they're well known in their dealerships and studios or whatever. And so you can get those for $7, $8, $9 grand depending on the mileage on those things, which is right in the target price of the Elio. So my point is, if you're still watching Elio, if you're still out there, and I go on their Facebook groups to see, what the comments are, and most of them are pretty realistic, i.e. negative, but there are people still asking, hey, when is it coming out? Can I pick mine up? Hey, do you have any other colors? What about a hitch? There are a lot of things that people are asking for. And so they're clearly still in the camp that they think they're going to get it. So if you're in that camp, I'm appealing to you. Please give up, take a look around. There are much better options on the market right now that you don't have to go to your grave waiting and wishing for some magical car that won't ever happen, right? There are more Tuckers still on the road than Elios that will ever be built. And so just check back into reality and pick up any one of these amazing vehicles. I mean, you can get Chevy Bolts, which are far more spacious and very efficient and a novel extended range technology for $6, $7, $8 grand used. I mean, so there are lots of options. The Elio doesn't represent, even if it were built, anything particularly novel or innovative anymore. And that's the problem. It was kind of clever when gas was $4.89 a gallon, right? It got people's attention. But that's not where gas is, and really we're kind of shifting away from that, right? And I don't expect gas to just skyrocket the way it did, because now the alternatives are really out there. Not only alternatives in fuel, but alternatives in transportation that consumes different types of fuel. So listen, I am appealing to you. Start looking around. Get one of these cars. If you want to just pick up something like this, like a 2012 Fiat 500, I think you won't be disappointed. And honestly, if the Elios were being produced, I'd probably put this up against it, right? I put up my used 500 against a brand new Elio if they weren't vaporware. That's it. That's my rant. I know it's a long one, but it's distinguished. Get another car. Don't wait for an Elio. Peter Von Panda. Out.